Greetings, viewers. This is ERi-TV news broadcast live from the headquarters in Asmara. It's 10:30 p.m. Thursday, February 10. I'm the reporter Mira with your daily updates. Here's a rundown of the top stories for tonight's English news segment. Announcement from the Ministry of Health. Seminars in line with fenkel celebrations. Freedom Convoy protests against COVID-19 restrictions. China's planned 6 missions to space in 2022. And now we proceed to the details for the local news. We have an announcement from the Ministry of Health. 8 patients have been diagnosed positive for COVID-19 and tests is carried out today at quarantine centers and testing stations in the central, southern, and northern Red Sea regions. Out of these, 4 patients are from testing stations in the central region. 3 patients are from testing stations in Areza, Adayih, and Ma'aini, southern region. The last patient is from a quarantine center in Massawa, northern Red Sea region. On the other hand, 23 patients who have been receiving medical treatment in hospitals in the Central Region 6, Northern Red Sea Region 8, and Southern Region 9 have fully recovered and have been discharged from these facilities. The total number of recovered patients has accordingly increased to 9,434, while the number of deaths stands at 102. The total number of confirmed cases in the country to date has increased to 9,660. Ministry of Health, Asmara, February 10, 2022. Seminars have been organized in connection with the 32nd anniversary of Operation Fenkel in Ginda and Massawa cities. At a seminar conducted in Massawa on the 9th of February, Colonel Isaac Gabru gave briefing on the historic feat the Eritrean youth demonstrated during the armed struggle for independence, as well as on the significance of Fenkel operation in bringing about total independence. At a similar seminar conducted in Ginda City on February 8, Colonel Asras Isaac and Lieutenant Colonel Germat Johannes gave extensive briefings on the subject, as well as the heroic deeds of the Eritrean fighters demonstrated in foiling the counter-offensives the enemy conducted. Both military officers also called on the youth to strengthen organization against the prevailing external interferences and renew pledge to play due role in the nation-building process. Preparations are underway to colorfully commemorate the 32nd anniversary of Operation Fenkel from the 11th to the 13th of February under the theme Fenkel, Embodiment of Heroism of Generations. A discussion forum for YPFDJ organization has been organized in Juba on February 6 under the theme Role of Society in the Renaissance and Development of the Country, indicating that renaissance and development of country and society is not to be left to the government and government institutions only. Mr. Fuad Mohammed, Head of Public and Community Affairs at the Eritrean Embassy in the Republic of South Sudan, called on diaspora Eritreans in the Republic of South Sudan and other countries to play due role in the nation-building process. Mr. Fuad pointed out that proper time management, fond of knowledge and education, fond of reading and writing, innovation and research, saving, as well as giving priority to national interest are among the main pillars for renaissance and development. He also called on the nationals to increase awareness and reinforce contribution in the effort the government and people of Eritrea are exerting. The participants on their part expressed readiness to strengthen organizational and participation in the national affairs. The Cooperative Association of Eritrean Community in Pucheni, Switzerland, extended material support to the National Association of Eritrean War-Disabled Veterans. Mr. Mohammed Noor Idris, head of the organization and promotion unit, received the material support, which includes wheelchairs and walker crutches, on February 9. The material support is in continuation to the contribution nationals abroad have been making to the National Association of Eritrean War Disabled Veterans. We'll be right back with the international news after this short break. Stay with us. Welcome back. COVID-19 restrictions at the heart of many ongoing protests in Canada have paralyzed the capital city of Ottawa for nearly 2 weeks, while truckers further south have blocked one of the busiest border crossings into the United States. The so-called Freedom Convoy protest in Ottawa is calling for Canada's pandemic measures, including a cross-border vaccine mandate, to be axed. Meanwhile, another U.S. truckers' convoy is expected to gather in California in March before heading to Washington, D.C. There have been similar kinds of protests in France, New Zealand, and Australia. Protesters set out from southern France yesterday in what they also call a freedom convoy. About 200 protesters assembled on France's Mediterranean coast, with many displaying Canadian flags in a nod to the truckers in Canada who are protesting their government's COVID-19 restrictions. The protesters said they planned to head first to Paris, then on to Brussels, headquarters of the European Union, to demand, among other things, the scraping of rules barring people from public venues if they don't have a COVID-19 vaccination. According to a blue paper released yesterday by China Aerospace Science and Technology Corporation, China plans to make a record 6 launches in 2022 to finish building its space station, the main contractor of China's space program. The 6 missions for China's space station include 2 crewed ones, 2 unmanned cargo spacecraft, and 2 lab modules. After completion, it will become the sole alternative to the 20-year-old International Space Station. The current Shenzhou 13 crew have been in Earth's orbit for more than 100 days. After their mission's completion in April, they will set a new record of the longest space travel for Chinese astronauts. The 2 lab modules China will send later this year are called the Wentian Lab Capsule 1 and the Mengtian Lab Capsule 2, which are essential for completing the T-shaped Tiangong space station. The blue paper also shows that China plans to make more than 50 space launches in 2022 with new carrier rockets including Long March 6A and Smart Dragon 3 about to make their maiden flights with the year. Over 140 spacecraft will be sent into space, including several satellites for civil spatial infrastructure on land detection, atmospheric environmental monitoring, and carbon monitoring. Mexican President Andrés Manuel López Obrador on Wednesday suggested pausing diplomatic relations with Spain, ratcheting up the rhetoric of his attacks on Mexico's former colonial power, which he has accused of plundering Mexico. Speaking at a regular news conference, President López said it was a matter of taking a breather without breaking diplomatic ties with Spain, saying the relationship is not good now. A spokesperson from Spain's foreign ministry declined to comment. López Obrador has repeatedly accused Spanish companies of taking advantage of Mexico, particularly in the energy sector, likening their actions to colonial area plunderers. The Mexican president said there had been economic promiscuity between Mexico and Spain during a run of previous governments in which Mexico was ransacked. Following is a recap of tonight's major headlines. Announcement from the Ministry of Health. Seminars in line with fenkel celebrations. Freedom Convoy protests against COVID-19 restrictions. China's planned 6 missions to space in 2022. That's all from us for now. Thanks for watching. Have a good night.